Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Paola. Today I have a very special video for you. It is a reading vlog. So in December of 2021, I decided to reread The Perks of Being a Wallflower. However, the original plan was to reread the book and then in the same week read a couple of other YA books that I had been meaning to read for like the entire year. However, that did not happen, so that's why some of the things that I say in the video are in like plural because I'm referring to multiple books. And that is also why you will see a Christmas tree behind me in the last couple of clips. So I hope that's not too jarring because I know it's like the middle of spring, but this video means a lot to me. Rereading The Perks of Being a Wallflower meant a whole lot to me, so I hope you enjoy it as much as I did making it. Hello, I'm back with a reading update. I probably should have done this in my videos where I do the synopsis because I have some predictions about the books that I'm about to read, but specifically for The Perks of Being a Wallflower, I think it's interesting because this is my first time rereading it since 2012, 2013. I don't know, whenever it was announced that Emma Watson was going to be in the movie adaptation, I immediately rushed to read it, and I remember thinking it was a really great book. Like, it left me with a lot of feelings, and I thought a lot about the quotes that were both in the book and in the movie that made a significant like resonance with people, but not the, and I swear in that moment we were infinite, because I'm just gonna say it bluntly, I never got it. I don't know what infinite feels like, and that has always been like the thing that stops me from loving that quote, or from making that quote a favorite one. But the one that really resonated with me was the "We accept the love we think we deserve," and it's for a very personal reason. I was going through a lot, and a lot of that had to do with the things that I thought I deserved because of the things that happened before that film came out and before I even read the book. So that quote specifically really stuck out to me. Anyway, predictions. So in my reread, I expected the book to clear some things up for me, because since the movie came out, I would see some of the booktubers that I followed mention that they wanted to read the book, and some of them loved it, some of them didn't. I remember one specific reviewer was like, "This book sucks, I hated it, it does this and this and this wrong, and blah blah blah," and I was like, "You are wrong." Like, I didn't take it personally, but I was like, "But you didn't even finish the book, you don't know what the point of the story is." But at the same time, it's like, you're not obligated to finish the book, and just because you didn't finish the book doesn't mean you're not allowed to have thoughts on what you have read so far. Anyway, that's my disclaimer. I don't care if you don't like The Perks of Being a Wallflower or any other of my favorite books. We all like some things, we all hate some things, it's fine. So anyway, about the book clearing things up for me, I wanted to pay specific attention to the things that one specific reviewer was talking about, like Charlie's sister experiencing violence in her relationship, and I think the discussion surrounding like sexual violence and drug abuse. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna pay attention to this so that when I finish my reread, I can confidently say that the book didn't romanticize any of these things, because that was what the reviewer was saying. But like, TLDR, I was very excited to get to reread this book and get to experience it again, because it meant a lot to me, and I read it at a very specific moment in my life. I don't know if it's like a very critical moment in my life, given like the lessons that the book taught me or is trying to teach me, reteach me. Anyway, I wrote down some of the quotes that resonated with me in that first part of the audiobook. So I'm just gonna read them, and hopefully this means something in the editing process. I am both happy and sad, and I'm still trying to figure out how that could be. I've never heard anyone use the words corpulent and jaundiced in real life, and that includes teachers. So what's the point in using words that nobody else knows or can say comfortably? The thing is, some girls think they can actually change guys. And what's funny is that if they actually did change them, they'd get bored. They'd have no challenge left. We accept the love we think we deserve. Not everyone has a sob story, Charlie, and even if they did, it's no excuse. So those are my favorite quotes so far. Each mean like different things to me. Maybe I can talk about it as I wrap up the book. I'm gonna cut this thing here, and I will get back to you as soon as I finish part 2 of The Perks of Being a Wallflower. I hope you're enjoying so far. Hello, I have updates. I listened to part 2 of The Perks of Being a Wallflower, and I don't know why I'm surprised by how emotional this book is making me. I think it's because one time, I don't remember even what happened specifically, but I was like, I'm just gonna do like Charlie and numb it all out and stop feeling. And and now I'm reading this book, and Charlie's obviously suppressing all the pain, all the trauma, and I'm just like, kid, this is so bad. Yeah, I don't know, it I just got very, very emotional. Yeah, especially now that I know about Aunt Helen. So I'm just gonna move on to the my favorite quotes. It's like he would take a photograph of Sam, and the photograph would be beautiful, and he would think that the reason the photograph was beautiful was because of how he took it. If I took it, I would know that the only reason it's beautiful is because of Sam. I have to stop writing now because I'm too sad. I don't want to start thinking again, not like I have this last week. I can't think again, not ever again. I don't know if you've ever felt like that you wanted to sleep for 1,000 years or just not exist, or just not be aware that you do exist or something like that. I think wanting that is very morbid, but I want it when I get like this. That's why I'm trying not to think. I just want it all to stop spinning. Everyone else is asleep or having sex. That last one is funny, and it's about the new year. Some other notable things from this part 2 was that Charlie's grandpa is racist. There's a little bit when he's talking about going to his mom's childhood house, something like that, and his grandpa is like complaining about all the black people moving into the neighborhood, and I'm like, no, not this Forrest Gump moment. I don't like it. I like that Bill's favorite book when he was younger is A Catcher in the Rye. That is one of my favorite books of all time. And finally, I thought it was really, really sweet that Charlie gave Mary Elizabeth $40 to get her zine printed in color. And I obviously love the fact that Sam and Patrick gave him the typewriter with the note, which is something I forgot about the book. In the movie, it's from both of them, and it says, write about us someday, or write about us. And in the book, it's Sam who wrote, write about me someday. And Charlie goes, and maybe I will someday, or maybe I will today. I don't know. Yeah, that's it. I'll come back, I am gonna say tomorrow, with part 3 wrap up. I think there's only 4 parts, maybe 5 parts. I don't know, but I'm excited. Really enjoying my reread of this book. Hello, I am back home, and I finished reading The Perks of Being a Wallflower. Let's talk about my favorite quotes from parts 3 and 4 and my overall thoughts. Okay, Favorite quotes from part 3. I would give someone a record so they could love the record, not so that they could always know that I gave it to them. I spent the whole vacation reading Hamlet. Bill was right. It was much easier to think of the kid in the play like the other characters I've read about so far. It has also helped me while I'm trying to figure out what's wrong with me. It didn't give me any answers necessarily, but it was helpful to know that someone else had been through it, especially someone who lived such a long time ago. I love those quotes with my entire life. As I was like making sure that the quotes were like properly quoted in this video, I read some other quotes that people highlighted on the Goodreads page. Because I read it in 24, 25-ish hours, I obviously didn't notice that other quotes were also pretty significant, but I also noticed that a lot of them either changed, were shortened, and stuff like that because I read the 2012 edition of the book. Anyway, and as I was going through the quotes on the Goodreads page, I was like, why didn't I notice that quote? Why didn't I notice that one? And it was because I was reading the book really, really fast. But ultimately, I didn't feel like guilty about not internalizing or not highlighting some of the other quotes that I saw on the Goodreads page. It was, I don't know, I really don't know how to explain what I'm feeling, but like the rereading experience was such a good one, that I think that's why I only highlighted some quotes and not all of the quotes that I would have if I had reread it in either a longer amount of time or in print. Anyway, part 3 also had the heroin and acid incident, and it's like the opening chapter for part 3 where Charlie does heroin and he has a really, really terrible experience, and that's when he starts going to see his psychiatrist again. I'm gonna have to put a bunch of trigger warnings in this video. I was not expecting that. And I don't even know why. Like, we know this book is, like, I knew what this book was about, but I didn't expect it to be so, not graphic, but I guess just like straightforward, because Charlie is very like, this is what happened, this is what I did, and it's just like the state of my world right now. So I think that was really cool to see the first time when I, when I read it back in 2012, 2013, something like that. But I didn't really internalize just how direct it was. I talked about this in the first clip, I think. I was going through a really, really rough time when I first read the book, and it was a period of my time where everybody was like either sugarcoating what was going on or giving me like really toxic positivity to the point where I just felt numb to everything that people were telling me. And I think seeing Charlie just saying the things that he was seeing, experiencing, and like feeling was very, very powerful to me as a young teenager. And especially now, as I look back at the time when I first read it, I'm like, this book is fantastic. And this book has done so much more for me than I originally thought. It was just such a cool experience. Anyway, back to part 3. We also get the Rocky Horror Picture Show where they like do it on stage as well as play the movie in the back. I've always wanted to go to a show like that. Rocky Horror would be amazing, but any other show would also be great. We also have the Sadie Hawkins dance, which we don't have that in Mexico. And I don't know, I just always thought it would have been like my moment if I had gone to like an American high school. Who knows, maybe I would have faced the same amount of rejection as I did when I was as I did in Mexico, but it would have been fun to try and be brave and ask a cute boy out for the dance. So this part is also where Charlie starts dating Mary Elizabeth, and I always felt like a little sorry for Charlie. But again, this is my second time reading it, and I'm like, damn, like they're just teenagers, like, I don't know, it's weird because I was a teenager when I first read it. I was 17 years old, and I was like obviously very much in the head of Charlie, and I couldn't really empathize with anybody else other than maybe Sam and maybe Patrick. But like my heart belonged to Charlie, and I didn't really think about anybody else in that respect, up until the party happens and he kisses Sam, and I'm like, oh man, that's a social cue even I would have known about, you know. But anyway, is it a social cue? Is it just like a social rule to be to be dishonest? It's just, this is the thing that I love about Charlie. Like, he's just very, very honest, and I don't think he's tactless at all. I just think he just tells people the way he sees things, and that's fine. And a lot of people don't understand it, and that's why they're like a little bit averse to Charlie. Either that or they like hyper infantilize him. Anyway, moving on. I loved that the talk that Charlie's dad has with him about dating and sex and consent. Moving on to part 4, my favorite quotes were, "It's much easier to not know things sometimes, and to have French fries with your mom be enough. Things change and friends leave, and life doesn't stop for anybody. Do you ever think, Charlie, that our group is the same as any other group, like the football team, and the only real difference between us is what we wear and why we wear it? Yeah." And there was this pause. "Well, I think it's all bullshit. This one kid with crooked teeth named Leonard called me a teacher's pet in the hallway after Bill's class, but I didn't mind because I think he missed the point somewhere. It's strange the times people choose to be generous." I feel like these quotes are all very, very important, and they all really encapsulate that we're nearing the end of the book, which I love. Everything seems like we're getting to that climax, where it's like the rising action, and then we get to that climax, and then it's like, oh shit, the story's ending, I'm sad now. Anyway, I loved the scene at the party where Charlie was just like noticing everyone and playing music according to what he was seeing in at the party. Like, he would say that when people felt like, when he noticed that a lot of people were sitting down and talking, he would play like energetic music so they would, get that energy boost and stuff like that. I thought that was very, very cool, and it really portrays Charlie as the highly perceptive person that he is. I just love it so much. And then moving on to the epilogue, we have, but even if we don't have the power to choose where we come from, we can still choose where we go from there. We can still do things, and we can try to feel okay about them. So this is a 2012 edition, contains an afterword where Charlie is writing to us, to the reader, or I guess to his friend, in 2012, aka 20 years later. And it was just so, so cool to see Stephen Chbosky, I guess, playing like a retrospective, or writing, sorry, a retrospective Charlie, and him going, there's this one quote that really stood out to me. I didn't write it down, but it was something about like, you don't know what it's like to have someone say that they wanted to commit suicide and then read your book and chose to live, and now they're happily married and they have kids, and like, that's such a great thing to see. And I don't know how it happened, but my letters reached so many people, and it's just such a great afterward that I was not expecting. I thought it was going to be like Stephen Chbosky, like, saying the same things that he says in the afterword as Charlie, but I thought he would say it as himself and as the writer of the book, like what it has meant to him, seeing like the reaction around the perks of being a wallflower, especially with its newfound acclaim due to the movie. But this way, Stephen Chbosky writing as Charlie, 20 years later, while still feeling the authenticity that Charlie brought to the page was amazing. I loved it so much. This book is just like so valuable to me. And I also noticed one quote that's really sad. When I first read it, I didn't really internalize it, but as I reread, I was like, why does he keep saying this? And then we reach the end and it's like, oh shit, this is heartbreaking. Anyway, the quote is, I just need to know that someone out there listens and understands and doesn't try to sleep with someone even if they could have. I need to know these people exist. Yeah, this rereading experience was just, it blew my mind because I was expecting to like it. Obviously, I was expecting it to feel like home in a way, but I didn't expect it to hit so hard, and it did. And I think that's what really great books do, at least to me. And I really want to watch the movie now. Yeah, I will leave the vlog here. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you in the next one.